Hey everybody, welcome back to another review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Just decided to check this out just because I found out a few days ago that it was actually free. So I decided to just give it a go because I was curious to watch it, and thankfully it was free. But the film we're going to be discussing today briefly is the film Before the World Set on Fire, which was written and directed by Jacqueline Bethany, if that's how you say her name. Forgive me as I pull up my Google Doc real quick because I get my notes ready. Um, this is her third feature. Previous directorial efforts include Indigo Valley and The Falling World, which apparently both came out the same year. And this is now her third feature. And this story centralizes on a new college professor that's coming in to teach a liberal arts class. And amidst this, there is a viral infection spreading around campus, being titled the Sweat. Yeah. And the students are, she has a couple of students that are in her class, and they start to engage in philosophies and differences in ideologies and the peeling of those within also a discussion of the current pandemic that is surrounding the campus at large. So this film was evidently shot during the pandemic, and of course is discussing the pandemic. It's very blatant in that discussion. Um, but here are the problems, because there are plenty when it comes to Before the World Set on Fire, or what should have been before the film itself caught on fire. To speak positively briefly, I must say that there is an occasional intrigue that comes within its endless rambling in philosophy, and in the very loose correlations to that of the pandemic, because in discussion, what they're trying to do is to discuss how the pandemic, or at least in their circumstance, this current pandemic that is unfolding, how it relates to being a human condition and not a viral infection, suggesting that religious belief and the pandemic can have some sort of symbiotic link, which is to, frankly, just talk out of your ass for about an hour, which is what the film does. Um, but in that discussion, even though it is just lunacy, there is some intrigue that can be deciphered and found within certain philosophical differences and stuff like that. But beyond that, I mean, the vagueness in the film is absolutely just strong, because what you get in the film is a lot of lacking in connectivity or real understanding in its thematic discussions and in its overall narrative beats, because in the midst of this entire discussion, these just long discussions being had in Zoom calls, mind you, not in a variety of shots or a variety of this and that, all done through a Zoom meeting. So it's just little blocks of Zoom calls taking place, with the occasional shot being done with one actress, basically doing it all with one actress and the rest on Zoom calls. Um, you you have a separate story that's also taking place with a campus situation regarding a student that unfortunately took their own life, and the teacher may or may not having a connection to the case, which is incredibly thin in the connections that they try to make, and ultimately the the gray area that they're trying to explore in that also is also very pointless, because there is no gray area, because there is no responsibility or no accountability for just like, it's trying to bind stuff together, but the problem strong absolutely is that there is no strings to bind these sequences together. And what you get is something that is, one, edited quite destructively, in that there is no masking or no cushion to its performances. There's no flow of energy. It's just a bunch of random things that are just happening, and largely to do in rambling, with people just talking out of their ass about this and about that, religion and women and this and blah, 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 blah. And it would be maybe a little more worthwhile if the performances were enticing, but no, everybody in the film, frankly, is terrible. Nobody in the film is actually well acted. I think the teacher comes the closest, But even she doesn't get much to do. The students in this are just unbearable. No student in this I find to be compelling in both characteristic or in performance. All of them seem like it is student level performance, where it's what you something like you do in college, where you like your final your term is about to be finished and you have to create, if anyone's done film class, like you'd make your final film piece and you'd show it to your friends in class and stuff like that. That's the kind of acting that's being put on here, where it's just like nobody seems to really give it their all, and what they do when they do give it their all, it's like just stop talking, like you have that, and then of course you have, as I've kind of illustrated, this structure to where it seems like everybody's just yelling and screaming and all that stuff, and it kind of devolves into is that of a comedy, where it never fails at being awkward, greatly unconvincing, mostly uninteresting in how it lays out its discussion onto the viewer, and it just the wave of what I get is frustration mixed uh, within some kind of masochist type of desire, where I'm ultimately kind of mocking the film now, where I'm looking at these sequences and I'm just going, I can't understand for the life of me what I'm trying to what the discussion rudimentary is here, except the literal of just discussing differences in philosophical differences. But that's on the surface. That is the literal statement of what is happening, but there's nothing underneath that to supply more interest, to supply more of anything, really. So it just it's just like in terms of like the word really, like as I said just not too long ago, it is highly unconvincing, like just from a filmmaking standpoint, from the performances, from its overall structure. Like everything just feels very just like thrown together, and there is no through line, there's no sense of momentum or no sense of energy, no sense of consistency, and everything is just doing whatever it wants. And I at one point just muted the conversations that were taking place, and my engagement was a little bit better because I didn't have to hear the annoying performances being taken, taking center stage. Just, man, really, really, just like, I mean, just yeah, I just really, really like I immediately was met when I was watching the film, like the first like 10 minutes. I was immediately met with trouble with those performances and with how the manner of its filmmaking. Like, yeah. So yeah, really, really unconvincing, and for the most part, as I've illustrated, just highly uninteresting, incredibly boring, incredibly um, just repetitive in terms of its discussions and the overall like temperament. Like it's just like we get calm and then we get angry, and then we get calm and then we get angry. It's just like there's no um, new layer, new variety. It's always the same, and in what it is just boring and lacking severely lacking in connectivity, in the story itself and its thematic discussion, because it literally is doing that. The Zoom calls are what that the film is doing in thematic discussion, and then when we have actual shots and other things at play, that's when a story starts to take priority, and it's just like two separate things happening at the same time, and there's nothing that connects these two together except a vague little thread about this teacher and a student potentially having a relationship or something, but that's not even explored, you know, to any real degree or real rewarding quantity. It's in spurts. So yeah, so I really, really was not crazy about it. I found it incredibly infuriating, and like I said, for the most part, pretty unconvincing. I am honestly surprised that it is her third feature. I would have been more expecting of it to have been the work of a student filmmaker. And it's not to degrade a student filmmaking, but it's to say that the stereotypical type of manner that is coming with student filmmaking, like, it would be the only rational explanation for this production. But this being her third feature is, yeah. So yeah, not good, not good. Thankfully, I watched it for free. So I mean, I think that's one of the more redeeming qualities of my experience watching it is that I watched it for free. But man, just really just nonsense. Really just nonsense. So so yeah, so those are my thoughts on Before the World Set on Fire. I thought it was just very nonsensical. Just like I could see conceptually speaking, I can see what they're trying to do, but it just doesn't work. You know, with what that discussion literally is, the execution, the performances that are there, there's a lot working against it. And a lot of your time is just left in a stew of frustration and kind of a weird sadistic quality or masochist type quality that is birthed in seeing how far you can kind of go with it until you succumb to that of frustration. So like I said, I muted the last like 20 minutes or so of that Zoom call that took place because it was just really getting to me. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Before the World Set on Fire if you guys have seen it in the comment section below. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Apologies if this review seems all over the place. Kind of in some ways a great illustration of the movie itself. It just really started to infuriate me towards the end. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.